This is the new CZ USA Bren 805S1 pistol. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at a few accessories for this gun. There have already been a few detailed reviews of this pistol, so we're not going to just repeat all those details again. But I would like to make just a few observations about this handgun. It ships with a military style cleaning kit, and interestingly, it ships with two D&H magazines with Magpul followers. These are the exact same magazines that you can find on sale from Palmetto State Armory for about $7 each. They're good quality military style magazines. Now the gun itself, a couple of observations. First, the sights that are on this gun, they're very much styled after the Troy backup iron sights, which are among my favorite. It's interesting because I did a video on counterfeit backup iron sights, specifically looking at Troy's, and these are pretty close copies, but they look like very good sights, and this is how the gun came from the factory. And one other observation I'd like to make is this firearm is just buttery smooth. It feels like it's operating on ball bearings. Now when you first pick up the gun, one thing you notice right off the bat is weight. This pistol weighs just under 7 pounds without a magazine or ammunition. And that brings us to the topic of today's video. We're going to look at the KAK Industry buffer tube adapter kit for this handgun. And then we're going to do a side-by-side comparison of the KAK Industry Shockwave brace and the new SB Tactical M4 arm brace. Now right off the bat, I know there are going to be a lot of guys that are going to talk about the philosophy of use for this gun. And this is a pistol. It's designed for short range defensive use. And certainly I would agree that for short range defensive use, there's no need to put an arm brace on this or try to get a better cheek weld. This is going to be accurate enough just as it comes for that particular use. And we'll do our shooting with this at 7 yards. That's the maximum distance that North Carolina uses for concealed carry weapons training courses and certification. So I'll compare the groups I can get using this gun just as is with the iron sights, and then using a cheek weld at the 7-yard range, and see how the groups compare. Now I'm sure that in a defensive situation, the arm brace and the cheek weld is absolutely unnecessary. But let's face it, guys, this gun isn't going to be used for that primarily. We're going to be practicing with it, and we're going to be plinking and just fun target shooting with this. And the point I'd like to make is that if you're going to use this for recreational shooting, then over time, holding this 7-pound gun out in front of you and trying to get a good sight picture is going to get tiring faster than if you're able to get a good cheek weld. And I think it'll just be a lot more comfortable and enjoyable to shoot if we have an arm brace on this handgun. Let's first look at the buffer tube adapter kit. This one is from KAK Industry, and it is composed of 2 parts. This polymer part is actually from CZ, and this is the rear receiver block. And interestingly, this entire kit from KAK was about $70. But I saw these adapters on Gunbroker for $50 just for this polymer CZ adapter. The KAK Industry addition to this is machined out of 6061 aluminum and anodized, and it's designed to accept the standard AR-15 buffer tube. It also has a set screw so that if you're using a buffer tube that needs to be indexed, then you have to purchase for an extra $1 or $2 a small half-dog set screw that you can use to index your buffer tube. So to install this, we're going to need to put in the rear receiver block, and then the adapter for the AR-15 buffer tube is just going to slide over this rear receiver block and lock in place with this button. There are non-captive pins in the back of this pistol. You have to push the little retaining spring, then pull out the pin, Once you remove this rear takedown pin, then you press this release button and just tap. Okay, so we're going to take out the pistol factory rear receiver end block and then replace it with the end block that comes with the buffer tube adapter kit. You're going to have to push in the buffer spring here. Just push that in, line it up, make sure it gets started. Once it's started, we just push it forward. Then we're going to put back in our rear takedown pin. And then the adapter from KAK Industry just scoots down. And then we're going to just make sure that it goes down and the button locks it into position. So it's just that easy. You don't even have to remove the trigger housing. Now we have a receptacle that we can put our pistol buffer tube on. This is the KAK Industry Super Sig, and it's a little over $40. Very nice design. I'm going to use this with the SB Tactical arm brace. This is the SB Tactical arm brace. It's a relatively new design to the market, and we want to compare this to the Shockwave to look at the pros and cons. Now, right off the bat, this lists for about $150, but it is available from Midway for about $120. So it is expensive. The Shockwave pistol blade can be bought as a kit, including the very nice buffer tube that has adjustment lengths. And the kit comes with the buffer spring, the buffer, the end plate, and the castle nut. KAK sells them for about $95 for the entire kit, whereas this arm brace by itself, even on sale, is $120, and you still are going to have to purchase the buffer tube. Now, pistol buffer tubes can easily be found for around 20 bucks. This is one of the more expensive ones. With this $95 kit, you're getting a buffer and a buffer spring that you can use with another firearm. Just the braces alone, if you were just going to buy the brace and you had all the other parts, this Shockwave brace is around $50 for the flat dark earth one, and once again around $120. So about $70 difference if you're just going to buy the braces. Now, looking at the braces side by side, let's go ahead and just put this on the buffer tube. And this is just a tight kind of squeeze fit. It gets really snug as you get close to this little stop that's machined into the buffer tube. Now, this is going to have to be timed. That looks pretty close, and we can fine tune it later. Let's just kind of look real quick at a side-by-side comparison of these two. There's a little style difference. The Shockwave is made out of a hard polymer. The SB Tactical is made out of a softer material, a rubbery material, so it does feel good. Another significant difference is in the width and the area where you're going to be doing a cheek weld. You can see that the SB Tactical is wider. We'll see how that feels when we put the braces on the pistol. The SB Tactical comes with an arm strap if you're going to be using that. I'm most interested in just how it feels with cheek weld today. You can see the thinness of the Shockwave blade, so it's very low profile as far as storing and carrying this. Once again, this is very soft material on the SB Tactical. It's meant to open up and strap around your arms, or I suppose you could even strap your arm to the side. But it is a soft, rubbery material. So now let's just kind of put these on the pistol and just see how they look on the pistol side by side. Alright, we're going to test fire this pistol now. I'm going to start without a pistol brace at all. Now I'm not really expecting any accuracy change from one pistol brace to the other, but we want to try them both so we can assess things like comfort and ease of use. But I would like to see if there's going to be a difference in the size of the groups that we see when we shoot this gun without a brace at all, and when we're able to get a nice firm cheek weld when we take aim. So we're going to do 5 center of mass shots and 5 head shots without the brace and with each of the other 2 braces. Now we're going to try the SB Tactical brace. Now let's try the KAK brace. Definitely was easier. I felt like I could get back on target much quicker when I had a good cheek weld. It was just a solid sight picture, much easier to acquire the sight picture quicker with a brace on. As far as comfort goes, I couldn't really tell that much difference between the 2 braces. We have without a brace, the SBM4 and the Shockwave. The groups, I would say very slight difference between no brace and a brace. Once again, as far as the philosophy of use, this is definitely hitting your target well enough to be a personal defense weapon at close range. One big difference is that it's much easier to get back on target quicker when you do have a nice cheek weld. And so these groups were taken a little bit more rapidly compared to these groups. And if anything, there is a slight decrease in the size of the groups when you have a cheek weld versus without. This is without a brace, the groups. This is with the SB4. I would say the groups are just a slight bit tighter. And then with the Shockwave, don't really see a difference between the 2 braces as far as accuracy goes. But both groups are a little bit tighter than when we had no cheek weld at all. And the biggest difference is with a cheek weld, we could just get back on target faster. So let's review our findings. First, as far as the philosophy of use, this pistol, as it comes from the box, is more than adequate to perform its intended purpose. But what I did find is when we have a pistol brace and we're able to get a nice cheek weld, then follow-up shots came much easier and much quicker. Now, as far as the specific accessories that we reviewed today, the KAK Industry pistol buffer tube adapter for this particular firearm was very well made and very well priced. It also comes with 2 single point sling attachment sights that I failed to point out earlier. And it's extremely easy to install. So now let's talk about comparing the Shockwave and this SBM4 from SB Tactical. First, as far as adjustability goes, this Shockwave buffer tube has detents that are cut into it, and it's very easy to change the length of pull with this particular buffer tube. So as far as adjustability goes, this SB Tactical brace just has to slip fit over the buffer tube and really isn't that adjustable after you've positioned it on the buffer tube. So certainly as far as adjustability goes, the Shockwave wins out in that category. Now, style is a very subjective thing, and I like the style of the Shockwave, but I have to say that as far as style alone goes, I personally like the looks of this SB Tactical M4. I guess mainly it just looks less unusual on the gun. It's wider across the top and it's softer. But to be honest, as far as shooting these two, I thought that this was going to be more comfortable as far as the cheek weld goes, but I really didn't notice that much of a difference. I think in the winter, certainly either one of these is better than putting a bare pistol tube against your cheek to obtain a cheek weld. Now when it comes to value, you can get the entire Shockwave kit, including a buffer spring and buffer that you don't even need with this handgun, for $95. Whereas this setup that I have, if you add the castle nut, the buffer tube, and the brace itself, would come to about $165. So there's about a $70 price difference between these two setups. Now you have to decide for yourself whether the difference in style or the nice rubbery soft texture of this is worth that. I certainly like the looks of this better as far as style goes, and I don't regret making this purchase. But if your budget is tight, there's no way you can beat the value of the Shockwave pistol brace. So I hope you found the information interesting and useful. If you did, please consider hitting the like button. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those and I'll try to respond to those in a timely fashion. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.